Should the end be near for manager David Ross? We talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Please support the show and be a part of our Locked On Cubs community by following on your preferred audio platform. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. We are right now exclusively on YouTube at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard, and we appreciate you listening or re-listening or re-watching in your ears, however you may be joining us for what is seemingly an important episode following a disaster in Milwaukee. This is also the 1-year mark for Sam and I doing this program. Thanks to everybody for all your support. And if you are here for the first time, we'd appreciate you joining us again soon. Entering a week in which would determine whether or not the Cubs remain in the mix for the NL Central crown, the Northsiders staked out a 6-0 lead in the third inning in Monday's game against the Brewers. From there, Drew Smyly struggled. Michael Fulmer was solid, and the offense stalled. And once the bottom of the seventh inning hit, it was a unmitigated disaster. The Cubs led 6-3 with 9 outs to go, but the Brewers scored 3 in the seventh and 2 in the eighth to win 8-6. There are still 3 games left in the series and 6 games left until the All-Star break, but the damage seems to be done as the Cubs are now 7 games under 500 and 7 out of first place. In many instances during the 2023 season, far too many times, manager David Ross has showed an inability to do his job well. And following Monday's meltdown of a defeat, it is clear that Ross doesn't hack it as manager of the Chicago Cubs. So, Sam, this is our lead. I have much more to say on this, and we're going to see what happens here.
Yeah, in a way for me, this is, I really don't have, I'll just continue to say what I've been saying. I would say probably maybe 8 out of every 10 episodes we've done a show. I've insinuated that this problem, and here's what I'll say, and then I'll swing it to you, because I want to make this clear and obvious for people. You and I'll speak for you as well, correct me if I'm wrong, are fully aware that this is an imperfect roster, that Jed Hoyer has made mistakes, and that players are underperforming. Those 3 things are true of almost every roster in baseball outside of the teams that are absolutely phenomenal. And I swing it over to the Milwaukee Brewers. Jim Deshaies, without taking a shot at Ross, he did not take a shot at Ross. He had absolutely no idea that this is how I would take it, but this is how I took it. Had a quote. It's remarkable. This is the quote. It's remarkable. He used the word remarkable. That the Brewers are 6 games over 500 with their offense and how average their pitching is. They are one of the worst offensive teams in the major leagues. They do not pitch that well. They defend well. The Cubs have a better roster than the Milwaukee Brewers. They do. Look up and down. Look at the performances. They do. The shortcomings come from over the course of 162 games, our manager puts us in bad positions. He does not put us in the best positions to succeed often enough, whereas their manager does. And look no further than the 7th inning when, for some ungodly reason, we brought in a kid who came up, a month ago? Mm-hmm. Instead of our best guy in that situation, Mark Leiter Jr., Craig Counsell bluffed the lefty with Tapia. He wasn't even going to hit Tapia, but for some crazy reason, Ross left Merriweather in, walks Tapia, then he bluffs Winker. Ross goes to K, should have went to Leiter, and then comes, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't even know the kid's name that hit the 3-run double. I don't even know.
Jones.
Something Jones. Good for him. Okay. And in about 10 weeks, he'll have an OPS under 7. But in that situation, that was the best possible way, the closest the Brewers could get to winning the game. And this has been happening for years now. For years. And I'll close by saying this. Jed Hoyer's got to be better. But Jed Hoyer has done some good. He has. This is not a bad team. And it's not even 2 years since they rebuilt. I don't know what David Ross has done well since he's managed here. I don't have an answer. There's nothing that I could say where I said, this team's managed the right way. And no, September of last year when games don't matter, it doesn't count. And it's not just X's and O's. It's not just percentages. They lose. Whenever you lose these games, they've lost 3 games that you shouldn't lose in a 162-game season in 6 days. 4-0 in London. Come back yesterday down 6-0. Still find a way to lose because you pitched to a guy you shouldn't pitch to, and then a 6-0 lead today. And that's after the fact, Matt. Through 50 games, we wanted to just be done with it because there were so many brutal ones before that. Like, it's just really hard to take. And I don't think people that watch the games, that if you don't watch every day, just check the box score, you think that it's an overreaction. It's not. And I'll send it over to you.
It's been in-game management compounded by margins on the roster. And it's important to acknowledge roster, but there's also simply winning at the margins and being able to be on the right side of close games. And the Cubs under Ross have not been able to do that. Following Monday's defeat, 27 of the Cubs' 45 losses this year are by 3 runs or less. That's exactly 60% of your losses were now over halfway point of the season. They have frankly lost too many winnable games. And Ross has been too loyal to veterans. He's handled the bullpen poorly. His lineups are confusing. And if he was so great in the clubhouse, then why do they keep going through these long and miserable slogs? Don't forget the long losing streaks in 2021 and 2022. And because of his player status on the 2016 World Series team and also a shortened 2020 campaign in his first year, I think Ross has been given a long leash. And I think that leash has to be over after Monday's game.
Yeah, and it won't be. I mean, it'll be something that's addressed in the offseason. The Jed Hoyer conversation in regards to Ross is simple. If you go after Ross, you go after Jed because at the end of the day, Jed employs him, right? So I'm not dismissing Jed in this situation, but Jed Hoyer wasn't buzzing down today in the 7th inning, right?
Right.
It's Jed has to be better. And Jed is a big reason the Cubs have struggled on the margins the last 2 years with his signings. We know this. But my point is I think Jed's done enough good to where I could see this team. If Craig Counsell's the manager of this team, they win the Central. I firmly believe that. Now, I could be wrong on that. Absolutely. I thought the Cubs were going to win today. Like, I easily could be wrong. But that's how I feel. And what frustrates me the most is that the easy thing to do, if you're a fan, is say, oh, who cares? This team's not good. Who cares? Whatever. But that's not the case. They every single outlet will tell you that they have underperformed their record everywhere. So
the numbers show that too. Their expected win is 4 or 5 more better.
It just and it's as a diehard fan and as somebody like yourself that watches pretty much, I would say, 29 of every 30 games cover to cover.
Right.
It's really hard to take. It's hard to take when I watch Blake Perkins and
sure.
Owen Miller and these guys at the lineup, and then we get made fun of. Well, we don't have a third baseman, or we have Jared Young. Look at who they run out. Look at who they ran out today. Besides for Yelich, none of them are any good.
It's a very meek offense. I mean, it's not even close.
They're awful. They just know how to win. They just know how to win. And the Cubs, ever since they hired this guy, David Ross, it feels like the Cubs just find ways to underperform. Not talking about the COVID season in a 60-game stretch. That I'm talking
it does right.
21, 22, and 23. And to be fair to Ross, this Brewers ownage of the Cubs started before he got here. It started at the end of 2018. It started. But I never felt like we were overmatched in the manager's seat. I didn't feel like that. I thought we needed some different players. But now it's just, you just watch it. And even if Ross made the right decisions today, let's say you went to Leiter Jr. and it failed. You know this way better than I do because you coach at a high level. When you lose games like this, sometimes even if it's not your fault, it is. You can't lose this many games the way they've lost this year. How many games have they played? Like 88, 89? I feel like they have like 20 of these where you leave the game and you just want to just be done. Like I have such a fun rest of my day planned. I got all my work done this morning. I'd like to go to the gym. I'd like to hang out with some friends. I don't want to do anything. I just want to punch something. And I've had that feeling like 20 times this year.
Oh, easily. And they've played 83 games now. And there's just too many games that they've lost that they should have won. That it's a simple question, but I have always went back to that. You can do whatever you want in the chat and the comments and Twitter and whatever else. Should they have won the game? Yes or no? Yes. And that's happened far too many times.
And I think it's just really hard for a lot of people to understand that don't watch every day how excruciating of a season. Like, we all know this. I like to exaggerate. For most of the time, I like to do it because it's funny. It's comedy. I am not exaggerating when I say I cannot remember a more frustrating individual season in any of the sports that I follow. And I know, guys, I know they're not that good. I know they're not a World Series team. But the level of these defeats, and then when they win like 12. Like today, I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to win 10-0, and then we got to celebrate like everything's south. And then when it got to be 6-3, I got a little bit excited because I was like, oh, maybe they have to deal with some adversity. Maybe they have to fight a little bit. And then whenever you say that, they find a way to lose. It's just been brutal. The only positive thing I could say is if they just run this roster back next year for the most part, and it's a different guy, it has to go better than this. It's just I'm just rambling because I'm so depressed.
Well, that's why Monday, in my mind, is effectively his last game. If it's not literally, it really is.
Well, you don't think they're actually going to fire him tonight?
Well, you do have a holiday. And so some of the weight of a decision like that in some pro sports minds, front offices, there is precedent for that you try to buoy a big move by a holiday.
So for
the
PR
Chicago
purposes,
Bulls have done it too many times.
Are you saying for PR reasons?
Sure.
So it's not as big of a story?
Possibly. There's a path to do it on the 4th of July if they wanted to.
Yeah, I just doubt it. I would be.
There is. The timing in that sense is interesting to me. But either way, it should be his last game for the reason that you just said, effectively.
Yeah.
Because what would it be if there was a different head man in there? And we won't know unless it actually happened. And of course, the 2024 roster will be different, but a lot of the new core is still going to be in place, especially offensively. And of course, there's so much we can talk about with that as well. All right. Coming up next, we're going to just take a look at the rest of the week. Maybe a path to possible roster changes. Madrigal did get removed from Monday's game due to a hamstring injury. Perhaps Patrick Wisdom returns. And so we're going to do that coming up next. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run of the game. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. It's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. The Cubs play the Brewers at 3:10 p.m. Central Tuesday, and you can listen to every pitch with the Cubs hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. On the SXM app, search Cubs or tune into channel 844 and catch the Cubs all season long on SiriusXM. The Cubs do have not a quick turnaround, a 4th of July starting time of 3:10 there on Tuesday. It's going to be Kyle Hendricks, and Wade Miley, former Cubs, Sam. And, there is still...
I'll be taking that game off.
6 games left this week, 3 in this series. So you're going to skip the game.
I mean, I'll be at Nick's. I'm sure it'll be like on the radio or something, but I won't be like involved in it at all.
Wow.
No.
So the time is up for you in terms of a view.
Well, I can't. I'd like to just enjoy
on the holiday, right?
Yeah, so I want to enjoy a holiday with my friends, eat some good food, and not want to just take my food and just whip it through a window.
Yeah, or up against the wall.
Yeah,
and especially being that it is a holiday, I had started to kind of plot my 4th of July too, and now I got an open schedule, so that's nice. A lot of discussion in the chat, which is always a second show in itself. And I'm sure there'll be some comments for people that watch and or listen on demand, about names. And, if something like this were to actually happen in season, which the chances are low, it would just be somebody nearby. You have 2 former managers nearby, one in your bench coach and one in the broadcast booth. So I just wanted to take 30 seconds for that.
And I'll take 10 seconds. I don't know who the right answer is. I just know the current guy is the wrong one.
Yeah. And, with less than half of the year now, you take your chances on one of those 2 gentlemen.
I take my chances on myself.
And, I think there's something to be said about, at least initially, if and when teams make moves like that, it is a difference in energy, a difference in workplace environment. And that would be fascinating to see how this group, which was supposedly full of likable guys and leaders and veterans, how they would respond. So that's a lot of what I'm thinking right now. But it is a time to be on fire in this fandom. It's unfortunate. I think it did happen. It's too bad that it happened. I think at times it's almost felt like it happened quick. But frankly, it's been a while now where they are not in the mix. And we'll see how this week goes. But as of this ball game, they are going to be sellers firmly the 3rd straight season.
And the thing that's so eye rolling is trade the team. They stink. Trade Bellinger. Trade Suzuki. Trade Happ. This is the absolute worst version of this team. And they're 5-6 games under. If they were a little bit better on the margins and had a different voice in here, it would be a totally different ballgame. They're still for sure a year away from being serious. Nobody's questioning that. But the fact that it looks like we're headed towards another July, August, and September of meaningless baseball shouldn't be happening. And everybody has to take responsibility for that. Carter Hawkins, Jed Hoyer, Tom Ricketts, Crane Kenny and his LED lights that he's so excited about. Those really haven't produced any wins. So it's frustrating. I saw somebody tweet it out. I wish they never got hot because it just makes it even harder. Makes it even harder to take. Lose. I wish they never came back yesterday because it just hurts. It hurts. We're human beings.
It does.
It hurts, and it hurts in the worst possible way. And the thing is like the way professional sports work. And the way sometimes life works, by the way, it could be any industry. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be business. Could be anything. When you're not getting results consistently, it may be all your fault. It may not be your fault. But it's a results-based business, and the results aren't here. And that's why there needs to be a change. And if we're having this conversation at this time next year, it'll be the same exact sentence for the guy in charge of all the baseball operations.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not to our Locked On Cubs channel here on YouTube. And let's spam that like button right now. Let's smash it for the algorithm. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on Sirius XM.
Quick game tomorrow.
That's true. It is at least going to be quick.
Hendricks and Miley. That game started at 3:10. Hopefully, it'll be like a quick 2-0 defeat by about 4:26.
It'll be over by 5:30, I think, at the latest. Shout out to the everydayers who are with us all 5 episodes throughout the week, and you can become an everydayer by checking us out each and every weekday. And shout out to everybody that's with us live, and you can join us live the next time if you didn't catch us in the moment by subscribing and turning on the notifications on YouTube. Only a few games left until the All-Star break. Manager David Ross, should he have managed his last game with the Cubs? We'll leave it at that. Due to 4th of July, we will be back on Thursday. Wednesday, we'll be recording Wednesday night for Thursday. Everybody have a great holiday, and we'll catch you back later this week. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.